here. Good afternoon. My name is Dawn Echeverry, President of the Nevada State Education Association, the voice of educators in Nevada for 125 years in all 17 counties. I am here today in strong support of AJR1 because it represents a critical step towards fully funding our public schools. In 2019, recognizing the overwhelming need of the Nevada classrooms, the legislature created the Commission on School Funding to develop a plan to reach optimal educational funding within a decade. The Commission has done its job, presented a clear research-based strategy to close the multi-billion-dollar gap between what we spend now and what our students actually need. Even after record investments last session, Nevada still lags in national average by more than $4,000 per student. To keep pace with the plan, we need to increase per pupil funding by about $700 each year of the upcoming biennium, requiring an additional $600 million. Yet the governor's budget recommendations fall flat, increasing base funding by just $2 per pupil next year. That's not enough to cover raising costs, let alone move our schools forward. The Commission carefully analyzed Nevada's tax structure and determined that modernizing our property tax system, specifically fixing depreciation on the point of sales, is one of the only viable solutions. A nearly identical proposal from 2017 would have generated an additional $330 million for school operations and $240 million in capital funds this year alone. This one change could contribute to over $500 million to school operation budgets. Passing AJR1 honors the work of the Commission and moves us closer to fully funding our school. Failing to act means Nevada students, educators, and families will remain stuck in chronically underfunded classrooms. I urge your support for AJR1. Pass the plan. Thank you.
Hi, Madam Chair, members of the committee. My name is Kaylin Evans, and I'm the president of the Washoe Education Association. We represent all of the certified professionals in the Washoe County School District. I want to thank the Assemblywoman for bringing this bill forward. And let's be blunt, Nevada is the only state in the nation using a property tax formula based on the replacement cost. Every other state has moved on, and for good reason. They understand how regressive and frankly absurd this approach is. It shields the wealthiest property owners and starves the public services our communities rely on. This system was sold with the promise of housing affordability, but that promise has unraveled. Nevada ranks second in the nation for cost-burdened renters and fifth for homeowners spending with more than 35% of their income on housing. The loopholes didn't lower costs, they weakened the systems meant to support us. Nowhere is that more obvious than in education. Clark and Washoe County are both in the bottom 5% of districts funded nationwide, and we have the largest class sizes in the country. These aren't just statistics, these are signs that we are failing the next generation. We don't have to choose between fair taxation and affordable housing. We can do both. While AJR1 corrects an outdated tax system, we can reduce housing costs through smart deregulation, faster permitting, more flexible zoning, and pre-approved designs that lower construction costs, all without sacrificing funding for our schools and infrastructure. Strong schools and safe communities don't happen by accident. They require investment, and a fair tax system is how we get there. Thank you.
Hello. For the record, my name is Susan Kaiser, K-A-I-S-E-R. I'm urging you to pass the plan proposed by the Commission on School Funding, which would increase per pupil funding in Nevada to the national average over 10 years. Since this commission was established, 4 classes of high school graduates have finished their public school education. Meanwhile, the plan remains in limbo. Even though a large appropriation was made to education during the 23 legislative session, funding remains inadequate. Recently, I served on a jury with a math teacher from DePaul Middle School, and during our brief chats, I learned her story. She had to move into a larger community space in her building because she has 2 sections of combined 7-8 math with 40 students. Her classroom was not big enough to accommodate 40 desks. Her total number of students is 220. This situation is unmanageable if the expectation is that her students gain math proficiency. She was concerned about missing 6 school days while the trial lingered and trying to help the substitute manage from far away. However, her real stress stemmed from not enough time to assess which students needed more help, which skills they were struggling with, and how she was simply going to make it to June. Increased funding would change this scenario. I taught for 20 years at Pine Middle School, and during that time I witnessed changes in curriculum, in the larger number of students assigned to my classes, and the stressful tests increasing for my students. However, during that time, I never saw investment of consistent, adequate, and long-term funding needed for our public schools. This funding matters for our students' future flourishing. AJR1 is the next step in generating revenue to pass and execute the plan. Our students' futures are, in essence, the future of Nevada. I urge you to pass AJR1. Thank you.
Good evening, Alexander Marks of the Nevada State Education Association. I've actually got a copy of the plan for optimal funding. It's thick, but it's a fantastic read. And I'd like to read from around page 16 to really emphasize why AJR1 is needed. Rather than identifying a new source of funding, increasing current tax rates, or targeting single industry taxes, the Commission preferred to examine the Nevada tax system as a means of adjusting the way taxes are collected or managed, improving the efficiency of the tax base, and maximizing economic and social benefits. The Commission determined that a nearer-term focus on broader-based property taxes and sales use would be best satisfy the adopted revenue principles. Therefore, the Commission's identification process for sufficient, predictable, and equitable funding sources concentrated on existing excise and property. As noted, there are only two sources of tax revenues that have the capacity to achieve the identified levels of annual funding increases over time: property and sales. While other taxes can certainly be considered to complement or supplement, the revenue demands to achieve the targeted levels of funding in the coming decade would not be achievable without significant contributions from the capacity that exists from the property and sales tax systems. It's also notable that 10 states in the U.S. with the highest amount of per pupil funding basis rely upon property taxes as the primary source of funding for education. Property tax has also historically been one of Nevada's principal methods of funding education, as have revenues from sales. That says it best. So if you believe in public education funding, you should be supporting AJR1. When we say pass the plan, AJR1 represents a large portion of that property tax provision and recommendation. It's not everything we should be doing, but it's part of what the Commission on School Funding has recommended. And by fiscal year 29, resetting depreciation would net school operating budgets more than $500 million. Trust the Commission on School Funding, pass the plan, support AJR1. Thank you.
I'm Christine Whistle. I am a high school special education teacher in Washoe County. I'm part of the Washoe Education Association, and I also am strongly in support of AJR1. Our schools desperately need it. Anyone else from WEA here? Okay. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Drew Franklin, DREW-FRANKLIN. I'm a teacher at Innovations High School in Reno, Nevada. I'm a member of the Washoe Education Association and an ambassador for the Nevada State Education Association. I'm in strong support of this bill. We need some way to help pass this pan and pay for it. Thank you for your time.